Government is not reason. Government is not eloquence. Government is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Hapney, and yes, you've tuned into The Real Story. Tonight we have some news. I can't stay for long because I've got one of these elite gatherings to go to that I might bring you along, but you know what the heck. Right now, let's go over this week's news, some important things. First one I liked for you, I wanted you to see the cover of Newsweek. Rather interesting, huh? Isn't this what the people sold me right after 9/11? Didn't they say, you know, gee, it's right after 9/11, shop, 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 shop. Go out and buy an SUV, I think was the quote. You know, everyone should go out and buy an SUV. So nowadays, you know, their idea of how to save an economy is to spend. Wasn't it credit and spending that got us into this? You know, and wasn't this going on for a long time since? But I thought that was interesting. Here's Newsweek, one of the major publications, and they're telling me what? They're telling me spend, spend, spend. Why I think that's important for you to see, which you maybe even subscribe to Newsweek, is that, gee, that's going to cure all our ills, is spending, is consumption. I'm of the other school. I'm of like, hey, let's produce. Let's maybe even produce and have surplus, then we can take care of people. It's kind of like when you're on the plane and the cabin pressure goes down, they say put the oxygen mask on yourself so that you can be self-sufficient and then take care of the person next to you, okay? Because you need to be breathing oxygen to help someone else. But as far as the money thing goes, remember the spend, 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 borrow from China, China, China? Yeah, that hasn't been working. And who does that benefit? So anyway, some of this week's stories. I like this one. I got this out of the Herald. I've only cut you a little clip, but we'll show you a bigger one of it. And it was called Don't Steal Small. And it was a reply to a cover the Herald had. Herald had this one, Funny Money Flood City. And here's what, it was a little quickie, but I thought you'd like it. And that is, you know, Bob Dylan's song came to mind while reading your front page on March 23rd. Steal a little, and they put you in jail. Steal a lot, and they make you a king. While Charles Barber, I believe is his name, is sitting in jail for allegedly printing $100,000 in funny money, President Obama and Congress have been flooded the nation with billions of dollars, trillions now, okay, in fiat money known as Federal Reserve notes. Remember I did all the shows and we asked, was that a private bank or a public bank, this banking cartel known as the Federal Reserve? Okay, Barber's alleged activity will have almost no measurable effect on the economy. The stimulus and bailout will lead to bankruptcy, hyperinflation, and all the social ills that go along with it. Thank you, Harold S. Shurtleff. I recommend you catch one of the shows when we have Harold on. I thought that was pretty good. Why? Because, yeah, when you create trillions now of dollars based on nothing, it leads to not good things. I think Germany did that, didn't they? Did we learn anything from Germany? Jeez. I mean, we may even have some old Germans in the audience. Maybe they want to come on and tell us about hyperinflation and, you know, all that good stuff. So anyway, here's some more, you know, big economic lies. And I always wonder, what are the new headlines tonight? But this one I like. A couple days ago, they told me on Wednesday, they said the durable goods figures were, you know, way up. And it turns out they weren't. What was interesting was, you know, the mainstream fails to emphasize that almost half of February's increase was defense spending. In fact, defense spending jumped 35% from the previous month. Now, folks, what kind of news did they tell you? Oh, things are up. More defense spending. Who sold us unjustified wars? Yeah. Why did we attack a nation that didn't attack us? I'm talking about Iraq. While they're getting you ready to attack what, the next one? Iran. They talk about it, and then when we do it, you're not surprised, are you? They talked about Iraq for a while before they went, you know, rather interesting. So anyway, the Dow Jones futures were set to for a higher open this morning as orders for durable goods were unexpectedly jumped. That's kind of interesting. The funny thing is the devil's in the details. So that's a little stuff. Do you also remember they give you all that other info? Remember they tell you about unemployment? Remember those numbers kind of be bogus? My gosh, you know? Like if you've been unemployed and your unemployment insurance runs out, you're no longer counted as unemployed. Yeah. So anyway, here's selling the United States off to the bankers. Here's some more news for this week. This is March 25th. Geithner down with the dollar, up with the SDR? Wow. What's an SDR? Why it's interesting, First, this is, Timothy Geithner, the new Treasury Secretary, right? A banker, brought in by Obama because he's for change. We had who? Paulson. He was from Goldman Sachs. They benefited from all this stuff. They got some of the AIG money, and they got some of the bailout money, and don't even get me going. So anyway, what's interesting is he first voiced his desire for a new shared powers with the FDIC that would enable him to break up financial companies at will. Boy, didn't the previous Treasury Secretary get the ability to nationalize any bank and stuff? Gets better. Even though this guy's, he's been involved in some of the controversial deals with AIG and Bear Stearns and Liam. The interesting is, then he took a walk on the currency wild side today by saying that he would be open to the idea that different currency could be used to settle worldwide trading accounts. Why this is important. Remember the previous shows about money? Remember how the dollar had become the de facto standard, the reserve currency of the world? Geithner told the Council on Foreign Relations, isn't that the bankster David Rockefeller's, group? And haven't all your presidents been CFR members? Anyway, tells the Council on Foreign Relations that he would be quite open to abandoning the U.S. dollar as the primary global reserve currency, selling us out to bankers. What else is new? That's your new treasury, because you wanted change. We went from having bankers run the government, Wall Street, to bankers run the government in Wall Street. That's interesting, huh? I like this one. This is one of our, here's a Republican from Minnesota. Her name's Michelle Bachmann, and she has introduced legislation that would bar the dollar from being replaced by any foreign currency. This is important because now the Russians, the Chinese, everybody's getting sick of the dollar because we print them and there's nothing behind them. Oh, that's right, that private banking cartel does it, the Federal Reserve. Anyway, on Monday, Geithner and Bernanke both rejected the idea of a global currency in congressional testimony, but in remarks to the Council on Foreign Relations yesterday, Geithner indicated that he was open to the idea. You just read about that, didn't I? Wow, so he plays both sides. Does this affect your future? Does it affect your family's future? This whole thing messing with the dollar, who's going to benefit? Cui bono? Who's this for? What's it about? What does it mean for your future? Okay. Anyway, here's one, just so you know what's going on in California. Schwarzenegger opens California Fairgrounds to homeless camp. It's funny, I first learned about the tent cities in California because I resided in Southern California, and in an area that I knew around Ontario, California, they started showing up on YouTube, these, tent cities. And then I called my buddy who lives out there, and he said, yep, down by Archibald, down by the railroad tracks and the airport, they've now got a tent city. Well, I guess there's more than one. And it turns out the state's unemployment rate rose to 10.5% in February. Phony numbers, I'm sure, because the government's good at phony unemployment numbers. But what's important for you to take out of it is, could that happen here? Have these bankers bankrupted us that much? Bankrupted our nation that much? Okay, China completely banned YouTube. That's not news, is it? The Chinese never tell their people the truth. Well, I guess now they did this. Let's see, YouTube has been banned in other countries, okay, as well as being allowed used to upload, share videos in foreign governments like Bangladesh, Thailand, Pakistan, Turkey. China blocked it out once before, They blocked out the YouTubes during the Tibet riots. Yeah, remember they took over a country. I don't think Tibet attacked China, but China took over Tibet. But you can't say anything bad about China today, because if you say something bad about China, they may want their debts paid. Yeah, don't we owe them trillions? Rather interesting. Better not say anything bad about China. Okay, YouTube executing censorship based on Lieberman's anti-terror lobby. Well, that's interesting. That's the guy in Connecticut, Lieberman, the guy who changes parties. Why? So he can get your news and your media censored. Boy, what'd you know about censoring? Isn't that the stuff they did in fascist countries, let alone communist and socialist countries? Okay, top constitutional scholar. Secret Bush memos reveal plan for massive military takeover of the United States. A top constitutional scholar, has said that recently released Justice Department memos prove that nefarious elements within the Bush administration were planning a massive military takeover of the country and that the documents should be used to bring charges of treason. Whoa, kind of interesting. This was an interview with author Naomi Wolf, legal expert Michael Ratner. Okay, the memos reveal how massive the takeover of our democracy was to be, that it wasn't just going to be a few individuals here and there who suffered the arrows of the police state. Oh yeah, there's 1 million people on that watch list. Boy, are you on that watch list? How do you spell your name? Oh. Okay, here's Merck, that pharmaceutical company, because we love big pharma. I guess the CDC It takes a closer look at Gardasil and paralysis. Not only have the girls died that they've shoved this stuff into, but Merck, they're the ones who knew that Vioxx was killing people, but sold it anyway. They knew that Vioxx was killing people, and they wrote memos about it to each other, but they allowed it to keep on going out and killing people. Would they do that again? How many times do they have to do it before you start questioning your Merck viruses? And by the way, how much money does Merck make for these Gardasil shots? Is it like $300, $600, $900? Maybe they got to make that money back because they lost in court about Vioxx.